Alright, welcome to an episode that I've been, looking forward to making for you guys. This is Remember the Great Sports. What I'm going to share with you, because I've alluded to this in a couple of my other videos, that I've been autograph collecting for a very long time. Let's just say since last century would probably be the time stamp that I can put on that. But this video is going to share with you some of the top 5 autographs that I received while these players were in the minor leagues. The cards in this video that were signed are superstars that are in the majors or have been in the majors. There's one that's retired. But I started autograph collecting in the mid-90s. My first game was at a single A affiliate game. I really didn't know what I was doing autograph wise. I think I just got a scorecard or a program signed, and the first person that really was a big name that I got to sign for me was none other than Billy Wagner. I'll probably throw a still image of him up right at this point in the video. But Billy Wagner was the first round pick of the Astros that year. I went and saw him. I had a stack of few cards of him that I scrounged around trading with friends or whatever, and I got him to sign him. He was very nice, very obliging. Unfortunately, I don't have that card anymore with me because when I was in high school a few years later, somebody broke into my parents' home and stole all of my autographed cards, and they're basically all my autographs. I would probably estimate at that point I probably had close to about 2,000 to 3,000 signed cards. That was through the mail stuff, in-person stuff. After that occurrence, I basically restarted my collection. The good news was that the money that we were able to claim on our insurance helped finance my first car. So I guess in one way my autograph cards helped finance my first automobile. But moving on from my personal stories here, I'm going to show these and give you the background of when I got these cards signed. I can almost tell you exactly the moment in time. I have that memory still in my mind when I saw these individuals, and I'm going to share with you some of those stories, and hopefully you enjoy. To start off, I'm going to do these in chronological order, so starting from the oldest going to the newest. So the first one I will share with you is none other than Roy Holliday. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, he's retired, and as many of you know, he passed away a few months ago. And as you can see, these aren't the highest quality cards. These are Bowman Chromes. I believe this one on the right here is his rookie card. But as you can see, it's in a black Sharpie that was practically dying. And the blue one's not much better. But these aren't, something that I'm looking to trade or unload or anything like that. These have, sentimental value to me. And Roy was an up-and-coming prospect at the time. I went on a trip, I want to say, to Louisville, Kentucky, which was a AAA affiliate for the Brewers at the time, before their current day. And the Syracuse Sky Chiefs were the team in town, and I was able to get these cards to take on my trip with me, with my father. And Roy was there. As you can tell from the quality of the autographs, I probably didn't prep these. Maybe I put some baby powder on them, I don't remember, but that's probably why the autograph is what it is. I mentioned in another video that I shot that sometimes you look at cards in your collection and you're wondering, why the heck didn't I prep that, or why didn't I do that? But when you're, 15, 16 years old, things are a little bit different, when you get stuff signed as opposed to in your mid-30s. So that's my first good memory. I got those signed, like I said, in Louisville by Roy way back when. Now this next one is kind of one that I fell into by accident. This individual was not a highly touted prospect by any means. He exploded the year after, I would say, that I got this signed. And I was at a single A game, and I bought this prospect set. I, of course, was in college at the time on a fixed income, so buying a team set for $10 was a lot of money. You know, when you factor in going to the game, you know, paying to get into the stadium, buying, you know, a hot dog, all those things, spending $10 on a card set was a lot of money when you have a fixed income. So, lo and behold, I bought this 2000 Midwest League prospect set, and I happened to be at the game when the Peoria Chiefs were playing, and there was this little known man, or player I should say, named Albert Pujols that was on the team. And I had no idea who he was. I just knew that I had a card of him and he was in the prospect set. And as a matter of fact, I've got the set right here. This is one of my more prized possessions in my collection because I actually have the entire set autographed. Now, some of them aren't in the best of shape. Luckily, the Albert Pujols here is immaculate, and as you've noticed, he actually signed it Jose A. Pujols, which obviously he doesn't sign his autographs that way anymore. This was signed when he was an A-ball. I don't know how long he used to sign Jose, but I know probably by the time he was in St. Louis, the Jose dropped off his autograph, and you basically got a version of what's on this card right here. Very happy that I fell into this. Sometimes by accident you get somebody and you don't even know who you have. I've had many people try to get this away from me over the years because I've mentioned what I have, Jose A. Pujols autograph. And this is one of the items in my collection that's basically untouchable. Maybe one day my wife, kids, or whoever will want to depart with it because it doesn't have that sentimental value like it does to me. But right now, this is one of the centerpieces of my collection, and I wish, looking back, that I would have broke down and bought a few more of these sets and gotten a few more of these cards signed, because if I had 2 or 3 or 4 of these, I might let one go. But being that this is the one and only in my collection signed by Albert, this is definitely not going to be one that I let go, anytime soon. So not too many of these are out there. I thought about sending it in, get it graded, all that type of stuff, but I'm one of those people that, I got this signed in person, so I don't need somebody to authenticate it for me. Now, if it ever comes to the point where somebody wants to sell it, that's what they're going to have to do probably. I would probably say that somebody would probably deem this fake because look at the autograph. He doesn't sign that way. He's never that legible, anymore. Somebody might say, oh, well, that's fake, that's not real, but I can guarantee you that 100% that I got this signed in person in Beloit, Wisconsin, of all places, as the Peoria Chiefs were the visiting team that day. I remember specifically I had cards of Chris Duncan, who was his teammate, who has now moved on. He's no longer playing, but he's moved on to working in St. Louis on a radio station talking sports. I remember I had cards of Chris Duncan, and he was the one that I was zeroed in on. I'm like, I got to get Chris Duncan's autograph. He's going to be in the majors. He's going to be the guy. And I just so happened to get Albert Pujols that day, too, on this card. I also want to say, and I might dig this out and show it in another video, I have a scorecard signed by him, too. A Beloit Snappers scorecard signed by Albert Pujols with the same signature. So I might share that in another video. If you guys want to see it, just post below in the comments there. So this was in 2000. Albert was in the Midwest League. Little did I know the following year we would get one of the greatest players. Not that Albert isn't great, but we would get one of the greatest players also to ever play in baseball, and that's hands down. And that's the most recent Triple Crown winner, Miguel Cabrera. And this is a Miguel Cabrera rookie card signed by Miguel. Okay. Now, Miguel also, I got playing in the Midwest League. He played for the Kane County Cougars when they were an affiliate of the Florida Marlins. And I was so lucky that the previous year, Josh Beckett was the big name, and everybody knows how big Josh Beckett was. And actually, I'm going to pull that out real quick and show it to you, because he was in that set that I just showed you with Pujols. But Josh Beckett was the big name and the big draft pick. You know, he was going to be the next, you know, whatever, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, on down the list. And Josh Beckett was in Kane County the year that Pujols was in Peoria. But the following year, not only was Miguel Cabrera there, but the other first overall pick, Adrian Gonzalez, was there. We went to, I say we, my wife and I, went to probably a handful of games that year. We got to know Miguel and Adrian. As a matter of fact, we got to meet the person that was his host family, Miguel's host family, and we found out that Adrian and Miguel were roommates while they were in Geneva, St. Charles, excuse me. No, Geneva, I'm right. St. Charles is the bordering town. But Miguel and Adrian were roommates in the same host family, so we got to get to know the host family. And at the time, Miguel was no one. He was a 17, 18-year-old prospect that, you know, nobody knew. Adrian, of course, was the #1 overall pick, so everybody knew who Adrian Gonzalez was that autographed in the Midwest League that year. And everybody chased Adrian, where really nobody cared about Miguel Cabrera. You know, I remember many times that Miguel would walk out and nobody even know who he was. Well, one day my wife and I were there, and we had an old disposable Polaroid camera or whatever, and we were there early one day, and Miguel came walking in with Adrian, and I asked both Miguel and Adrian to take a picture with me, and both of them obliged. I want to say Miguel was probably about 19 at the time, because I was about, I want to say 20, 21 at the time when I would have had that picture taken. So let me see how old Miguel is real quick here. Let's see. Yeah, he's born in '83, where I'm a little bit older than that. So I was a couple years older than Miguel when he was in the Midwest League, and I still, to this day, have the picture with me and Miguel standing there together, and I'm actually holding these cards in my hand. I have this card in my hand after he just signed it and he took a picture with me. Me and Miguel were both very young and a lot skinnier than we are now in those pictures. So definitely a very sentimental, you know, autograph in my collection. Really enjoy having this, and again, you know, I wouldn't call this the centerpiece, but this is right up there, you know, with the top 5 in my collection, no doubt. Now this next one, I only saw on the road. Again, this was in the Midwest League. This was a few years later. I want to say 2007, I want to say. Yeah, because he was drafted in '06. But again, he was a very obliging individual, very nice, very polite young man at the time. He, you know, was very cordial to, you know, if you were polite to him and you asked him for an autograph, he was more than happy to sign them for you. But that is Mr. Clayton Kershaw. Now, Clayton Kershaw, enough said. I'm sure many of the viewers on this, you know, video know who he is. After watching the World Series this past year, he definitely was on the big stage. Perhaps they'll be back in that direction. The Dodgers are always retooling every offseason, so they're definitely going to be contenders. But I remember, you know, getting this card signed, and you can see how young he is on this card. You know, just very, very young Clayton Kershaw right there. And I know I got multiples of this card signed. This is just one of, a few that I have. I've traded a few of these away. This was something that I've gotten him to sign for me since A-ball, and I've never gotten his autograph since. I showed you the Midwest League set with the Pujols there. I have nearly a complete set with the year that he was in it as well, with, of course, his card signed. I chose not to pull that card out only because it's in a set, and I have extras where the Pujols, that was literally the only card I had of him signed. So this is definitely, again, my top 5, in-person minor league autograph that I've ever gotten. And the last one is probably the coolest story that I can share with you, and this is by far up there with the Albert Pujols in my collection, only because of the sentimental value, and it tells you the level of generosity this individual has. That this person is beyond, if not the best player in baseball. You could make that argument right now. Others may disagree, with Bryce Harper or whatever. This was probably beyond anything that I've ever had any minor league player do for me. And the person that I'm talking about is Mike Trout. Now, this card, unsigned, is worth a lot of money. But when I saw Mike play, this was the only card that really was out there. And I'm going to show you another one here that he signed for me as well. But it was this card and this other card I'm about to show you that was really the only thing that he had. Now, normally I do team sets, but again, for whatever reason, I decided not to buy that team set that year, and I gravely mistake doing that. I do, however, have the Midwest League prospect card signed by him, so I do have that set. I had a couple copies of that done. Again, I didn't pull it out because that's part of a set, and I like to showcase this one a little bit more. But the story with Mike Trout is, I was standing outside the stadium in Peoria, Illinois, and the Cedar Rapids Colonels were the visiting team. Mike Trout was on the team. I was getting a team ball signed, and I've mentioned in one of my other videos about how I have baseballs that I wish I would have, not gone cheap. Well, I used a cheap baseball, a dollar baseball from Dollar Tree or whatever, and I got the whole entire Cedar Rapids team to sign it, and that ball looks completely, it's a bad baseball now, but it has Mike Trout's autograph on it. Now again, it doesn't have a lot of value because it looks like garbage basically, but I was outside the stadium getting a team ball signed, and I had cards of some of the players on the team. Well, Mike came out, and somehow the other individual that I had cards for got past me. And Mike signed all the cards that I had, signed my team ball, and he saw in my album that I had this other card, and it wasn't signed by the other person. So Mike signed this card, and he said, "Hey, you want me to take your album on the bus? And I'll go get Randall to sign that for you." So Mike Trout took my cards in my album, took my Sharpie, went and got Randall Grichuk to sign the other half of this card. So this, by far, I have never had a minor league baseball player, or any player for that matter. Well, let me take that back. Jason Kendall did do something similar like that for me once when I saw him in the minor leagues as a coach. But Mike Trout, yes, the Mike Trout, took my cards onto the bus and got Randall Grichuk to sign them for me. I have never, ever in 100 years would expect a baseball player to do that for me. Now, I've had other players, go into the clubhouse or go grab somebody off the bus and say, "Hey, that person out there wants your autograph. Can you get them off the bus?" I've had that happen.
But Mike actually physically took the Sharpie and the book onto the bus and got them signed for me. That is why these, this card especially is so sentimental to me, because I had that interaction with Mike Trout. I was at the time, I want to say I was in graduate school. Actually, no, I wasn't in graduate school, but let's just say I wasn't financially secure. So the income was better than it was when I was in college, but it still wasn't where it is now. And to have somebody go out of their way and be that cordial to their fans is something that forever will be ingrained in me. And that is my Mike Trout story. Now, I have never seen Mike Trout since A-ball, so I can't speak for how he treats his fans now. But I've seen people go down to spring training and still get his autograph to this day. I know he's a very highly sought after individual. Who wouldn't be? I mean, this is like getting Derek Jeter or Ken Griffey Jr. or somebody like that back in their heyday. But to be able to share that story, with you, on YouTube, and I hope maybe one day Mike does get to see this video and says, "Hey, I remember doing that in Peoria, Illinois." I know he's signed a lot of autographs since. I know he's seen a lot of people since, but his autograph is pretty consistently been the same ever since A-ball. And when he was in Cedar Rapids, he was a known commodity, but he wasn't super uber huge until he really got to AA, AAA. I mean, we knew who he was, but you wouldn't have droves of people showing up to get him. You'd maybe have 5 people, trying to get him. Compared to now, you'd have 500. So, I hope this video was enlightening. I'm out, by all means, not trying to brag about what I have or anything like that, but for these, gems to be in my collection, pan out a little bit here, is something that I'm very proud of. Maybe I can inspire you guys to do a response video to this. Definitely put a comment, down below if you like this video. I hope maybe some of you do a response video to this. Just mention me in the title or, whatever, and we'll go from there. So thanks for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope to hear from you soon.